Wow. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Hastings, and tonight I'm excited to be talking to you about chapters 11 and 12. And sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. It's so funny that the chapters are always super appropriate for whatever we've got going on in our lives at the time, which is, I'm so thankful. I mean, the only thing I can say is it's divine providence, because we need these things, right? So the first chapter, we're talking about change, and change is the price of learning. And change, I mean, if I were to say to any one of you, I need you to change, I need this to change, your first instinct, I mean, does it feel good or does it not feel good? We've got that hesitancy of, oh my gosh, she's asking me to do something outside of my comfort zone. And it's important. If we want things to always stay the same because it feels good, we're losing out on opportunities to have things be even better, right? We're going to have some discomfort, we're going to have some problems, some challenges in the meantime, but that's where growth comes. And those things are so important. And we only have learned that those things don't feel good through life experiences. If we haven't gone through any of those changes, if we haven't grown when we're little, when we're first learning to walk, we're not afraid of learning to walk. We fall down and we get back 800 times. No big deal. We learn and we grow and we develop and we figure out how to do things differently. But when we're older and we see people learning new things, or, the other day I'm watching volleyball and I'm seeing these kids dive after these balls. And number one, I'm going, wow, that floor looks really hard. And number two, if I dove, I wouldn't get up so easily. And so much of that can feel the same in our daily lives, whether it's something we're looking to change for work, whether it's looking to something we're wanting to change for our health, or any of those things. And I love some of the different things that were brought up in this chapters about every time that we change, we lose something um, when we gain something. So it's like, so we're continually making trades in life. So you've got to think about, are you willing to make those trades? um, because it's going to take you outside of your comfort zone and you may even get something better. And if you resist that change, you're trading your potential to grow for your comfort. No change means no growth. And I don't know about you, but I want to continue to grow. So, um, and when you don't change, you're limiting your potential and then you end up with regret. And I like how they talked about how most regrets are not what we did, but what we didn't do. And as we learn and we grow and we get older, I mean, how many of us wish we'd made house changes sooner? How many of us wish we'd changed some of our parenting tactics sooner, or our dog training, or our financial situation, or any number of things? And then we're like, if I'd only started that sooner. But the thing is we can still do it now. We just have to make the change, decide we're going to do it, and stick to it. So, um, I love this quote here. You are only one defining decision away from a totally different life. And that's so true. So, in that process of change, we have to kind of go through some things. Number one, new information is accepted, a new attitude is adopted, a new behavior is practiced. And this one is where we're talking about being on call tonight. New convictions influence others. This is what we're here to do. We're not on this call. We're not in this business, any of us on this call, just to keep these changes, these benefits, these gifts just to ourselves. We're out to share it with others. And even though it might feel uncomfortable to talk to people about Plexus products or the business opportunity, um, are we willing to go outside of that comfort zone to influence others in a positive way so that they can have the positive changes that we wish we had had sooner, so we wouldn't have those regrets of not doing the things we'd wish we'd done a gazillion years ago? So I thought that was really, really good. I also liked how he talked about part of the human condition is to look for the faults in others and minimize our own. So when we're learning and growing, and you might get some gentle coaching from someone, sometimes it's a lot easier to say that other people have a problem versus you, but they're doing it out of love and respect, and they want you to improve too. So there was a lot of things about changing your attitude, and this one too, changing your non-growing friends. A lot of people, if you've been in the same position or the same job or the same friendships or the same area for a long time, man, people are stuck in their old ways. And if your friends aren't growing, you have to decide, is that where you want to be too? Do you need to step outside of that circle even though it's uncomfortable? Um or you Because we can't expect everyone else to change, right? Um so definitely important there. I love this quote: every minute you spend with the wrong people takes away the time you have to spend with the right ones. And this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. There's been some different friend issues and different things, and I go, you know what? I can't keep expecting them to change in the way that I feel when I'm around them. It doesn't feel good to me, and that's on me. And it's on me to either change my reaction or get the heck out of Dodge away from those people, and it's on me to make those changes. And then my kids are going to learn by that example as well. So, one of life's important questions is, who am I? But more important is who I'm becoming. So with that, I'd like to go to chapter 12, maturity, the value of learning. So in this chapter, there was, again, so many good things. And maturity, we always think about with age, but a person is someone who has learned from losses, gained wisdom, and possesses a strong emotional and mental stability in the face of life difficulties. We all know people in our lives that are more mature. Some of them, it's not the age, they're, chronological age, but if I were to say to one person, one thing, and I would say to another person that same thing based on their level of emotional maturity. One person can handle that completely different, and the other person is going to tell you what planet you need to get off on, right? And we're not responsible for their reaction. We're responsible for how we handle that reaction. And it can be the same message delivered completely the same, but it's on them and where they're at in their life. So, maturity is the result of finding benefit in the loss. So, when you do something new and you might mess up and there might be some pain, are you going to stick with that of, oh man, goodness, this was awful, and stay there? Or are you going to go, you know what? I can do this better. This is what I've learned and I'm going to move forward. That is where you find those things, okay? And that gives you mental and emotional freedom. Um, One of the things I find is I learn best from my mistakes, but sometimes it takes me a lot longer than I need to realize what I needed to learn, and that's okay. The fellow who never makes a mistake takes his orders from the one who does. I thought that was a really great quote. When you look at your leaders, or you look at people and you go, man, I couldn't be like them. They're telling me what to do all the time. Or, you go and you get a job and you're not the boss. Well, you know what? That boss, if things were done correctly, that boss has heard no a whole lot more. They've messed up a whole lot of more things than they've learned and grown. So that is something that's super important. And then, excuse me, when you're talking about feelings, so often with these things, we have so many feelings and emotions. You have to remember, however, what I can do is feed the positive thoughts until they become dominant over the negative ones. How many times have some of us posted or offered plexus to someone and somebody has been rude, or allow that to shut us down? And we're like, I am never doing this again. This is awful. I'm never going to share this. Or are you going to be like, you know what? I'm going to dwell on how I'm feeling and how others have felt, and poo-poo on that person. That's on them. So we've got to really learn to feed ourselves with those positives, get on the book clubs, get on the team calls, read your positive affirmations, pray, meditate, all those things that fill our cup back up with positive stuff, or you're going to get stuck into that downward spiral. Or if somebody quits, or somebody's told oh, not on you, go back, learn, grow, move forward. So, acting on that right emotion will lift you to success. Acting on the wrong emotion will lower you to failure. It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, but you've got to figure out how to find the sunshine through those dark times. And you can't allow those challenges to get you off track. Stay focused on your goals. Look at your goals, what you want to do, your why. And sometimes those things change for us over time. And I love this other quote here: people gratification tend to fail, and sacrifice itself is part of entrepreneurial success. So sometimes we're so excited about just hitting Did I earn the iPad? Did I earn this? Well, and if you can't see past that immediate goal, which is awesome, those are wonderful prizes, right? But if we can't see, you know what? I've helped 6 people, and those people have helped 3 more people, and these people have had huge changes in their life trajectory and their health goals and financial goals. Man, get stuck. So look at the long-term picture versus just those little bitty short-term ones. Let me move my microphone. I just hit that. Sorry, guys. Um, and I like to, the average entrepreneur fails about 4 times before succeeding. So there's so many things in here. And this is one that I have to work on too, is maturity is a result of learning to earn respect for yourself and others, and not just going to fix things for everyone right away. Give people the opportunity to themselves, because you're stunting their growth if you're doing that. So that's often when you're praising a kid when they really haven't earned praise for something, and you haven't given them the opportunity to learn and grow. So when you don't do that, it doesn't build their self-esteem. It's like a false bravado, a false thing. So with that, I want to finish with this quote here. I tried and I failed. I tried again, it succeeded. What more could a person be expected to do? So with that, I would for, yes, I'm asking for participation. I would like someone to be open to talk about something that they've learned from. Maybe it was a painful change, or something they've grown from, or something that seemed awful, where they've embraced the change and learned and grow. So I'm going to quiet down now, and I'd love to hear some real life experiences for people. And it doesn't have to just be Plexus.
Okay, so I will go. Let me make sure I understand the question really quick. So you want to know some real life experience where we have learned and grow. Okay. So I guess like right now, like we've just been through a ton of changes and a ton of growth, and we kind of put ourselves out there and kind of turned our lives upside down a little bit. Um, there's been a lot of growing. I wouldn't even call them growing pains, but just a lot of learning. I've been a physical therapist for 23 years, and now we're store owners, so it's a whole different ball game. But it's having a growth mindset. We can do something, and if we don't like it, we can readjust, pivot, and grow even more. So yeah, I think life is a continuum of, constant learning and constant growing. And if you don't, then you get kind of stagnant and um, content, and you lose your passion and your fire for life. So yeah, I think that's a good example for right now.
That is an amazing example. And when you told me what you were doing, I was like, wow, that's a huge change. And I'm like, wow, I'm so proud of you. That's huge. I mean, it's not everyone that quits their job and moves to a completely different city, buys 2 stores, and does everything completely different, which is huge. So, um, excuse me, definitely a leap of faith, definitely a lot of learning and growing there. And I'm really proud of you for taking that leap.
Thanks. And all within like 2 months.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy, but amazing. I mean, and when you look at that, you did it scared, man. I mean, that is huge. That is amazingly huge. And if we shouldn't be asking people to do things that we're not willing to do ourselves, right? So we're consistently asking people to do something that's scary. We're asking people to trust us in this business, asking people to put up a post, asking people, to learn and grow and do different things, or speak in front of others. Oh no, right? And if we're not willing to do it ourselves, why in the world is anybody else going to do it that we're asking to do these things? If we're asking people to drink water, or eat better, or any of those kinds of things, we've got to be willing to do it ourselves, and then we can help them as well.
And nothing ventured, nothing gained. So, yep, it's definitely worth it. I know other people have great experiences too. I can't wait to hear them.
Or if you're not willing to talk about a personal experience, talk about something that you're thinking about with reviewing these chapters. That's cool too.
Okay, so I don't know that question is hard for me. I have a lot of things I could say. I don't know, but I will talk about the book and is that okay? Okay. I loved that part in the maturity where it talks about like having that self-respect and how they were called out by their, was it like their therapist or priest about like telling their or grandkids or kids like, oh, you're so great. And I do that. And I caught myself, I was like, oh no. But, and I actually had a dance mom friend kind of call me out on it politely, but it was kind of like, I see my daughter always looking back when she's dancing, and hope she might hear me, but always looking back for my praise. And it was like kind of that moment of like, she needs to feel good about doing it for herself, right? Like she needs to be proud of the decision she's making when no one else is looking, right? And have that self-esteem. And that was like the last part of that chapter. I had to reread it like 3 times because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is me. And it was just um so great to hear, and just like be reminded of that. And then again, this book has been my favorite book we read, and I want to plaster it all over my walls. The change part where it's change yourself, and I won't read it to you all, but it's on like 189 and essentially says, like, in order to change the world, you have to change yourself, right? Like, in order to have a better church, you need to be better in order to have a better society. Like, it was just like, I was like, everyone needs to read this and because the world needs change so desperately bad. But that part was like, yeah, if we all make little changes every day and we all can change, how remarkable, right? So love this book. Can't say it again. Love, love.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean it's so hard because are we people's cheerleaders or are we teaching them to cheer themselves on? Are we teaching people to have the respect in themselves for a job well done, or are we just doing it for them? It's funny. We were at meeting tonight with us, and years ago he wanted to be. He was defining himself as a musician. He hadn't been called to the priestly vocation yet, and he went down to Central Michigan, and he was practicing. He was doing piano, playing. And he's like, I'm the best musician on all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. So he goes up for his recital. Middle of the recital, blanks out. Can't remember anything. Tried to start over again and again. Couldn't. Is just gone. And so he had to stand up, take a bow, and everybody's like, and he realized he was looking for, years, after he realized he was looking for that external validation from the world and everybody else cheering him on versus him doing his own soul searching and figuring out these things on his own. So if we're constantly just looking for that validation from everyone else and from the world that we're doing everything right, one of those days there's not going to be somebody standing up cheering for you. Are you prepared for that? Are you strong enough in yourself that you're willing and ready and able to do the things that need to be done, even when nobody's watching or cheering you on? And so that goes a lot with that change, learning, and maturity.
That part reminds me of me like with my kids, like overpraising them and and they always tease me about it, right? Like they know. And one time Ethan was going for a job interview. I think he was about 17, maybe it was a couple of years ago, and he's very witty, and so he just like jumps right in. He's like, oh, I didn't get the job, and or they haven't called me back. And I'm like, well, did you tell me we're the bestest, most handsomest boy in the whole world? He's like, I did tell him that, mommy. Like we were like joking and laughing, and then but it's just like that reminder, to like, even when the bad things do happen, you do have to be your own cheerleader and have that inner strength to be able to joke about it and laugh about it, and move on to the next thing. But it does remind me of that.
That is so funny. I can totally see you two doing that too, which is even more funny. So excuse me. So I think it's really important too. So when Ethan didn't get that job, or we didn't get that rank, or somebody quits, or somebody's mean, do we still have our big enough cheerleader to change to do the things, or what are we doing? There's times where we wax and wane, maybe in our business or in our health or in our parenting or in our marriage or whatever. I mean, there's peaks and valleys in everything, but through those peaks and valleys, if you're in one of those down times, can you look back and remember these times up here? Can you look for that inner strength in yourself, or can you look ahead and go, you know what, I don't like the way this is going? And Michelle, I think you're a really good example of, at your job, looking at, I don't like the way this is going. What am I going to change? How are we going to look at this for the long run? Or no, your Plexus business, you know what, I'm not getting enough recruits, or maybe my retention is down, or somebody's not listening, or people aren't plugging in, or whatever. Is my why big enough that I'm going to ask more people? And it's not always going back and trying to resurrect the dead, maybe somebody who quit listening. Are we willing to get outside that friend circle that we're comfortable in, to reach out in another, to maybe make more positive changes? So definitely some things to keep in mind. Is our why big enough um, for us to make changes? Y'all are so quiet tonight, killing me. All right. I guess, does anybody have anything else they'd like to add before we convene for the evening and get ready for our big team call? Alrighty, friends, thank you for try to. These calls are always way more fun when we do them together. I don't want to talk at you people. I want to talk with you people and hear from more of you, because we all have different insights to share, and that's how we grow too. And with this, you might be wrong. Nobody's going to bite your face off, and we might learn something from you too. So thank you so much. Have a great night, and we'll see you on the next call.